Growing up, I'd be given all kinds of good advice, like, if an appointment is worth making, it's worth keeping. Or, the first rule of engineering is KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. I was told it's always faster and easier to do the job right the first time than to have to go back and fix it. And then there were bon mots like, if you cheat on your time card, you're stealing from your employer, and so many more. Come to think of it, many of the aphorisms that my extended working class family instilled in me had to do with the virtues and values of being a good worker bee. More on that in another conversation, I think, but for now, I want to talk about an idea that they must have touched upon in my youth, but that I don't recall off the top of my head being emphasized as much as I want to emphasize it to my own children. Kids, my advice is this: show up. Welcome to the INRIS Files, presenting thoughts on culture, history, and the human condition from a Generation X point of view. There are far too many excellent quotes and aphorisms about the value of showing up. For example, there's the formula for success is 2% talent, 8% luck, and 90% showing up every day. A very successful stand-up comedian, screenwriter, and movie director once said, 80% of success is showing up. A former First Lady and Secretary of State recently said, showing up is not all of life, but it counts for a lot. There were a couple of times in my life when the power of showing up really hit home. For example, when I was in high school, I reached a point where I was gaining weight in an unhealthy manner, and it seemed to me that overweight nerds were even less likely to earn affection than a nerd with a more healthy weight. We can put off the conversation about body shaming and lookism and all that for now. The point is, I was getting fat, and I wanted to reverse that. Now, at the time, I hated the idea of participating in any kind of competitive sport. In fact, any sport that relied upon any degree of physical contact, or coordination, or skill would have me at a disadvantage, because I had no coordination or skill. I hated running, and I had no equipment for weightlifting or any of that jive. But I did know how to swim. I liked swimming. And while we couldn't afford a membership at a pool, my high school had a pool. However, the pool was reserved for classes that didn't fit into my schedule and the swim team after school. So I asked the swim coach if it would be okay for me to practice with the team. I didn't want to join the team. I just wanted to swim laps with the team. He considered it and then said, sure, that would be fine. So after school, I showed up at the pool with the rest of the team and I swam. I was awful. I couldn't go more than a length of the pool without having to hang onto the edge and catch my breath. Before too long, the coach gave the team a workshop in flip turns, and he had us working drills doing flip turns. Okay, so I would go a length, do a flip turn, push off, and then finish the next length before I had to stop and catch my breath. An entire lap. Okay. At some point, the coach stopped me mid-length and said, listen, you can't keep stopping in the middle of laps. You're no good to me if you don't do a complete set of 4 lengths. If you want to keep swimming with the team, I need you to do 2 complete laps without touching the bottom and without hanging on the side. Now, I said. Yes, now. Well, crap. So I went to the end of the pool, caught my breath, and then started swimming. The coach walked up and down alongside the pool with me. So I wasn't going to weasel out of this. Oh, that was brutal. But I wanted to keep working out with the team as I had no other options for regular exercise, so I refused to touch the bottom. I refused to hold on to the side. I pushed through as best as I could. My arms and legs were limp noodles by the end, but I did it. Did the coach look annoyed, resigned? It's been so long, I really can't remember. But he nodded something along the lines of, all right, and then went back to pay attention to the real swimmers. He didn't kick me out. But now I knew that it was possible for me to swim a full set without stopping. So from that point on, when that was the exercise, I did it. Soon after that, when the team did pyramids up to 10 lengths at a time, I did those too. I started holding my own in the sprints. Some days I would swim in one of the inner lanes where the faster kids tended to swim instead of sticking to the outer lanes. If I couldn't keep up, I'd move back to the outer lanes, but that was fine. At some point, the coach ordered swimsuits for the team, and he ordered one for me as well. Okay, that's fine. Then came the practice when the coach wanted to start off discussing the first meet of the year, which we would be hosting. He called off each event and the swimmers he wanted for those events. For 2 or 3 events, he mentioned my name. But, yeah, that's how I discovered I was on the swim team. I never tried out. I just showed up. And the kids around me acted as if, of course I was on the team. Of course those were my events. And that first event was a true revelation. To be swimming in that competitive atmosphere with my teammates, cheering me on, shouting me encouragement as I tried my best to swim the fastest I possibly could. It was something I'd never experienced before. Make no mistake, I was still terrible at the outset. But before long, I was a solid backup for my events, eventually earning the A slot, and within 2 years making all high. I didn't start with any particular skills. I didn't start off coordinated. No, I just showed up. And I kept showing up. Then there was the time I helped run a radio station. The radio station at my university was a full-fledged FCC-licensed commercial rock radio station, complete with memberships to the NBC Radio News Network and the Associated Press. What made us a rare breed was that the station was owned by a corporation that consisted entirely of active matriculated students at the university. We were completely independent of the university, except insofar as our corporate bylaws required that members be full-time students. So that was fun. We learned all about the financial realities of running a radio station, of selling and producing ads, of dealing with the FCC and community standards, how to gather and write the news, how to subscribe to and run syndicated programs. After I'd been involved at the station for a little while, I decided that I wanted to help run it. I looked around at my peers, and I figured I could do just as good a job as anyone else as general manager, so when the time came, I ran for the position on the board. And I lost in spectacular fashion. I mean, it was a 3-way race, and I came in dead last. As it so happened, neither of the other 2 candidates had enough votes to win the election outright, and so according to the bylaws, we would keep voting until someone held a clear majority. The folks who voted for me were not going to switch votes. It looked like we could be in for a very long night of the 3 of us trying to woo some of the other members to switch sides. Nah, if my goal had been to play a politics game to secure the GM position, I supposed I might have been able to maneuver my way into winning a coalition. But that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to help run the radio station. So I announced that I'd be voting for one of the other candidates, and I encouraged the people voting for me to do likewise. And on the second ballot, we had our new GM, and it wasn't me. And that was fine. When nominated for assistant GM, I declined the nomination. The new GM had a slate of candidates that she wanted, and I made it clear I would be voting for her slate and that I would decline the other elected positions. The mood of the room made it seem likely I would have won the VP role, but that wasn't how I wanted to get into the leadership. Instead, I decided to take a year and learn how to run the radio station. I would earn everyone's trust for the position rather than maneuver for it. I would start by attending the weekly executive committee meetings. So the new GM was elected along with the exact slate of people she wanted, and they all sincerely appreciated that I didn't grandstand, and they also seemed to genuinely appreciate the fact that I sincerely wanted to help. I attended the exec meetings and fit right in with the crew. When I had an opinion, the board members took it seriously, and sometimes I persuaded people, and sometimes I didn't. But all the while, I listened and learned. I heard what old hands had to say. I heard what the new leadership had to say, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. But as time went on, some members of the leadership team started to butt heads with the others. There were disagreements and tensions. There were resignations. And when asked if I wanted to be a replacement for this role or that, I declined. But I kept coming to the meetings, I kept learning, and I kept providing the best input I was able to when it was appropriate. And over time, a funny thing happened. Something I had never planned on or anticipated. The members of the board, including the GM herself, came to see me as one of the old hands. If there was a contentious issue, there would be a vote, and they would even ask for mine, even though I was not officially a member of the board. Everyone just took it for granted that I belonged there, that I was on exec, because I always was there. They treated me like I belonged there because I showed up like I belonged there. Make no mistake, the GM knew I held no official role on the board, But I became a trusted advisor. Something I have come to appreciate in the years since then is that a trusted advisor often wields more influence than an elected official or an appointee. Now, my point is not here are ways to skirt around the system. I'm not suggesting that the way to win a position is to sneak around the conventional methods. Rather, what I am saying is that just by showing up, you open doors to possibilities that you hadn't even considered. It's been said that luck is really where preparation meets opportunity. By showing up consistently and in good faith, you not only improve the odds that opportunities will present themselves, you also improve the odds that you'll be prepared to meet them. How has showing up helped you in your life? Please share your stories in the comments section below, and please be kind when you engage in the conversation. Be sure to click like if you want to see more videos like this, and subscribe if you'd like to be alerted about them when I post. Thank you for checking out the INRIS Files, and we'll see you again next time.